Hi everyone, and thank you so much to Zach and MetaVI for having us here today. We're standing on opposite sides, but I'm actually Yiling.
And I'm Carrie, so that's me.
Okay, and we're here today to talk to you about Mad Angels.
So Mad Angels, the MAD actually stands for Make a Difference because we believe that all of us can do our little bit here to really make a difference in the future we want to see. So we'll share a bit about where we came from, why we're doing this, and what you can do to help us out.
And maybe just before we kickstart, right, just to ask all of you here, how many of you have parents, are parents of teenagers? How many of you are parents of primary school students? Okay. And how many of you feel that I think the education system today still needs to change in order to enable kids to be more creative, more entrepreneurial, more innovative? Thank you. Yeah, and that's really the inspiration behind why we came up with Mad Angels as well. So I'll hand it back to Carrie to share a bit more.
Thank you, Yiling. All right, so we can go to the next slide. So a bit about us. Maybe I'll go first. So I'm Carrie. I started my career many years ago in education, and I used to teach children from very young age. I used to teach students from everywhere across the world, and I realized that the impact I was making was perhaps not strong enough, not powerful enough. Was there more that I could do with a bunch of people that cared about the same thing, right? So today, I work in a firm that runs programs for startups, and we think that entrepreneurship is, perhaps the next thing that we can bring to our kids. So then I met Yiling, of course.
Yeah, and I myself actually came from a very traditional finance background. So like a lot of us, and I think in the room, grew up being told that finance is where the money is. Definitely, the world is run by that. So I started out being an investment banker for more than a decade. And then one day I realized, having two kids of my own, I realized the education system hasn't really changed as much. And as much as it served me, it didn't serve my two daughters. So I decided to actually leave banking to launch my own startup in education. It's called Smarter Me. And we provide entrepreneurship and coding robotics education to kids in Singapore. And along with that, then, we actually went on to launch another project, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But really, I think that's what we wanted to share. I came from a finance background, went into entrepreneurship, focusing on education for kids.
And then for me, it was education, working with startups, and I see that there is a big disparity in what we used to do versus what we can do now. And I think that's where we kind of came together and said, hey, let's build something, let's do something together, and see if we can bring other people along for the journey. So Mad Angels, we are a community-owned accelerator that works with Gen Z founders, really to provide them with a few things. One is mentorship support, because we think that if we as teenagers had that kind of support when we were younger, it would have changed a lot of things for us. Second of all is the kind of network and community that we think is so important in building something together. And third of all is grant funding, right? So we think that these three things coming together could really, really help change the game. So we focus on our three key pillars: our youth, our entrepreneurship education, and of course sustainability. Why? This is a really big thing for us. And thinking about where the world has come to today, where we're going, we don't actually have much time left on this planet, right? The way things are. And we think that if this is the future we're leaving in the hands of our children, at least give them a fighting chance. At least give them something to build, something to fight for, so they have a world that they're going to inherit. So we see it this way, that we are not just empowering the young founders themselves, the Gen Zs, right? We are also empowering our angels who are together with us, a community of believers, people who want to bring support back to the founders, which could include all of you, as well as empowering the larger community to then give back to one another, because we believe that learning is not one way, learning is circular, and we're all going to do that together. So that's us.
So, in a nutshell, what we are, Mad Angels is an NFT project where all the proceeds raised from the NFT collection goes towards providing two things. Number one, mentorship, and number two, grant funding to Gen Z founders, so that's your teenagers of today, building sustainability tech solutions. Now, if you wonder what can teenagers actually build in terms of technology, in terms of solutions, you're not alone. But the difference is that over the past 4 years, our team has already worked with over 1,600 teenagers all across Asia and have seen firsthand the amazing things that they can come up with. And unlike the generation before them, teenagers today are inheriting the world and they truly care about the sustainability and the equitability of the future world. It's not about CSR, it's not about greenwashing, it is something that they really care about because that's the world that they are going to live in. I don't know if you've heard your kids say this, but my daughters have actually told me that I am worried because statistics tells me that by 2040, I may not even have a world to live in anymore. So what old age am I talking about? So to them, remember, this is their world, it is their life, and us here, what can we do to help them move it along and to change it? So what is, and why did we say that we've worked with over 1,600 students over the past 4 years? We've been running something called Young Founders Summit, which is a startup program for teenagers all across Asia, ages from 12 to 18. Yeah, that's as young as 12. And what we provide them with is four-pronged: entrepreneurship education, so how to build a startup, coaching and mentorship to guide them along the way, networks, so that they get connected to like-minded change makers and leaders their age all across Asia. And lastly, grant funding, so that they can actually get started and kickstart and launch their product to the market itself. So don't take it from me. I'd actually like to play a short video recording some of our Young Founders Summit alumni who want to share with you their journey and why you should believe in them.
We youth have many new ideas and are constantly thinking of something new to solve either global or even local problems. We are bold enough to voice out our opinions and to say things that are right and to voice out if something goes wrong.
I believe one of the biggest reasons is our lack of experience. Although some may see it as a big disadvantage, I believe it provides us the unique opportunity to see things from different perspectives.
Are so creative. They think out of the box and innovate in order to do things that people haven't done before. And I think that what makes youth so special. That drive and that passion. So that is why we should believe in youth as they are our future.
It has been a competition that has really allowed me to grow in my own personal capacity, as well as grow my passion for creating change with my ideas.
YFS has introduced me to the world of entrepreneurship. I've met mentors and connected with a lot of people through YFS, and they have helped me understand a lot more about building a business, sustainability, as well as improving on my pitching skills.
YFS have actually helped me is by providing me tools to create my ideas and create more cohesive messages, think more creatively, and actually give me the confidence to actually, present my product to people and actually improve it to make it a more feasible idea and make it into reality.
I ambition to change the world with technology. With the solution that kickstarted off YFS, we are now more confident to build it, validate it, and make an impact out of it, all thanks to the wonderful learning experience at YFS. Changing the world does not have to take a billionaire like Jeff Bezos or a tech genius like Elon Musk. We youths can start small but dream big.
Is really trying to create these platforms or create these opportunities, competitions of which youth can showcase their abilities, come together, but also trying to build up maybe a youth to youth, a peer-to-peer community of which we can have input on our latest products and initiatives to try to build them to the next level.
So just to share with you that these are the youth that we're talking about. Mad Angels, Young Founder Summit is all about investing in talent who are building the world of the future. Okay, so where do we find these youth? We target to actually reach out to about 10,000 of them all across the world, and of which we'll then be providing entrepreneurship education and mentoring them, and then finally selecting the top 30 teams to receive dedicated one-on-one mentorship and stand the chance to actually get grant funding, again, funded by the Mad Angels NFT project. wanted to share with you. So as Carrie mentioned earlier on, Met Angels, it stands for, what's the genesis of this name? Met stands for make a difference, because we believe that by harnessing the power of the collective, people who either care about the youth, or care about sustainability, or care about Web3, to come together and make a bigger difference together. And angels actually come from the term angel investing, so I'm sure you're all familiar with that. By providing this, little seed money to them, you are becoming these kids' angel investors. And these are some of the artwork that our Singaporean illustrator has actually created. And I think Zach will probably ask us a little bit more to share more about the artwork inspiration later on, which we'll dive deeper into. And so that's it for our presentation. If you're interested, please do scan the QR code. We are on Web2 platforms like Instagram, and we have a website, and we are also on Web3 platforms like Discord and Twitter.
That was amazing. So don't you agree with me that you can learn something from Yiling and Carrie as well, and going to share. So what we're going to do now, we're going to have a short panelist section where I'll ask some questions, and Yiling and Carrie can actually answer the questions for you as well. So let me come up with the first question. I think one of the questions I will ask first, what is the key message behind each individual Met Angels NFT? Because I know we're here today as an NFT fair, right? And we have a lot of creators here also who have actually created the NFT art, and each of the art piece have a meaning behind it. So I'd like to actually listen and hear from what each of these graphics, this digital art actually means beyond just a digital image.
Thank you. So when we set out the NFT project, one of the big things that we wanted to ensure also is that we were also supporting a Singaporean illustrator. So this Singaporean illustrator, her name is Perlin, and she's actually a global citizen. So she's actually based in Sweden and have worked in Barcelona, in Korea, so on and so forth. And she also has 2 kids of her own. And the inspiration behind this is this. Now, growing up, I remember always thinking and being told that I'm book smart, I'm not street smart. I'm not cut out to be an entrepreneur. And there were a lot of buckets that we placed people into. My mom was a teacher, and same thing as well. Growing up, I would hear her subconsciously bucketing kids according to certain archetypes. But when Carrie and I were working in the startup world and coming across all these different entrepreneurs out there and building great businesses, what we realized is one thing, right? There is no fixed archetype for a successful person. In fact, there is no key archetype of what, or definition of what success even means. And to build a great business, you need different personalities, different types to come together. And that's really the spark of how we thought about the artwork, which is you need the maker, you need the builder, you need the thinker, you need the visionary, you need the optimist, you need the dreamer, you need the creative. So in a lot of our art pieces itself, the blue one actually signifies the builder, the green one signifies the visionary. As you come across our artwork, you'll see a few more as well. There's the achiever, there's the optimist, the dreamer, the creative, so on and so forth. And then the background that we've designed also represents the hope at the world that they live in. Some see shooting skies, so you'll see some of it as well, shooting stars. The first one over there represents education. We have another one which represents healthcare, because again, the NFT seeks to fund projects that build sustainability tech solutions. So sustainability comes from, revolves around education, healthcare, and so many more too. Some prefer sunny days, so that's really some of the inspiration behind it. These 3 art pieces that we selected are actually one-of-ones. They belong to our committee members. So as you're all familiar with investing as well, as we decide which team to actually fund and provide grant funding to, we also want to make sure that their business models are sound. And we've actually have a pool of committee members who are well-versed in the investing world, whether as venture capitalists themselves, or angel investors in sustainability, or founders building sustainability tech solutions themselves to come on board as a committee member. But of course, there's also room for 8 of our NFT holders to be a committee member and to have a say in what teams we provide grant funding to. But yeah, that's a bit of the story behind it, which is, whether you're a dreamer, a thinker, an archetype, a visionary, a creative, or all in one, we need every one of you in order to build a future world.
That's amazing. Actually, it reminds me of the different groups of NFT Creation Lab students we have here as well. We have a diverse group of people. Some are builders, some are the more technical ones, some are leaders as well. So really amazing. I understand that it's not easy to create a successful NFT collection, and it requires a lot of people from different expertise to come together as well. So I'm really proud of our students who have actually created the NFT collections they have in the booths as well. So I would like to follow on with another question with regards to why do you use NFTs to actually fund youth? I mean, what is the connection there?
Okay. So we've been, over the past 4 years, right, supporting all these teenage founders and relying on different sources of funding, whether it's CSR money, so on and so forth, and also government grants as well. Now, when Web3 came about, we were really inspired by one of the projects actually in the US called Boss Beauties. They formed partnerships with Marvel, with Disney, and have their artwork actually listed on NASDAQ and in the UN headquarters too. And the idea is this, right, which is now you finally have a chance for every single one of us, however much money that you have, right? You don't have to be an accredited investor, you don't have to be a high net worth individual, but if you believe in a certain cause, you can actually put your money together with the rest of the community, be part of this community, and fund a cause that you care about. And so that was really the spark, which is this the next generation, and is this the future of funding and crowdsourcing, right? Where everyone has a say, everyone can make a difference. And that's why we thought of bringing together NFTs, where it's not reliant on, the pyramid structure, where you have one of a few people at the top holding all the power, but rather now it's distributed, and yeah, we now have a joint and common success together.
Amazing, amazing. I really like the vision of what they are doing as well, because we at MetaVI, we also believe in education, and that, both educating the youth as well as the adults on how Metaverse and Web3 is actually so important. So my next following question is actually, why is it useful for youths to learn about NFTs and Web3? I mean, we have a lot of parents and their kids and their youths, and they are going to be entering in the new digital era and the new era of the world. So why do you think it's important for youths or even parents with kids to learn about this?
Thank you, sir. Actually, I think people who are here already can answer that question themselves, right? That's why we're all here, right? Honestly speaking, as a millennial myself, this was very new to me also. But we think back to the 50s, right? When like a computer first came out, when internet first came out in the 80s and the 90s, it was very new to us. But look at where we are today, right? Going into a metaverse, going into a digital world where different versions of yourself can exist, different versions of yourself can do things, right? You can build worlds, you can change lives. And I think if we choose to ignore and avoid that this is where the world is going, I think we're only holding ourselves back. So it is very important to us that our youths also get the chance to explore that with us, to use that platform, to utilize it, to be able to build what they see in their dreams, right? And I think that's important to us also, yeah.
Yeah. There's a saying that I really like, and that is that change is inevitable, but growth is optional. So it applies to every one of us here and to the youth of the future as well. We believe that in the future, all your Web3 technologies will become something that, just like how we use the internet today, you may not know exactly how it works, but it is there and it's powering every single thing. The fluctuations that we see in the market today, it's merely fluctuations that we saw at the start of Web 2 as well. All the email scams that we used to get, it's the same thing, right? So we believe that this is the future. And I think one incident really struck very close to my heart. I was speaking to a group of 6 girls from from Japan, a mixture of Japanese girls, but also international girls, global girls, Americans as well. And I asked them about Web3 and NFTs. And they said that, I don't really know about it, I don't care about it, I don't understand how it works, I don't get it. And when I asked them, do you think you are missing out on something? And they're like, well, I don't think it makes sense, so I don't think I'm missing out on anything. And that really hurt me. Because of that, we are in a world where learning and growth is the only factor that can drive us forward. And so again, here, we also see our roles as being able to be more inclusive, bring more people in, whether it's young girls, whether it's different backgrounds, right? To be able to educate everyone, and whether or not they believe that this is something they want to be a part of is up to them. By the very least, I think we want to be able to bring everyone on this learning journey together.
Let me add on, sorry. I think the more we know, the more of a fighting chance we have. And I think that goes for everybody, right? Not just youths today, but all the other groups that we've yet to touch. I think if you are able to channel that in your day-to-day life, teaching someone else something, bringing them along for a journey, we give them a fighting chance for the future. And I think we have seen all these inequalities and inequities in the world, right, that we have lived in. We don't want that to continue, and we hope that this is the little part that we can do. Yeah.
Thank you. So one question, I'm going to ask $1 million question, is that, because we have a lot of parents here, I myself as a parent, it's like, is it more important for students to do well academically or in areas like entrepreneurship? I think it's a very important question. Just like our NFT Creation Lab students, they are creating something new, pathing a new possible part-time career or job and stuff. And this is a totally different track as well. So for youth, do you think it's actually more important academically, or they need to start exploring to become entrepreneurs?
Okay, I have a really controversial answer, but I'm going to let Yiling answer first.
Okay, so as a mom of 2 kids, and they're both very, very different, I'd say this, right? I think unfortunately in today's world, academics still carries weight to a certain extent, but it's no longer enough. And also, it doesn't mean that if you do well academically, you do well in life. And conversely, it doesn't mean that if you don't do well academically, you won't do well in life. That correlation doesn't exist anymore. But you asked a question about whether or not I think it's important for kids to have entrepreneurship education, right? I don't think everyone needs to be an entrepreneur. That again is also a glamorization of the entrepreneurship world today, and I don't think that kids all need to do that. But what we need kids to have is the forever learning attitude, the growth mindset, and more importantly, not to be afraid of failure. I had a conversation with my girl yesterday as well, and she said she's okay to give up, but she's not okay to admit she's wrong. And I said that is completely the opposite. And so we had a long conversation around that, which is that what we need is for people to not be afraid of failure. Really just try, fail, learn from it, and try again. And to always be open to admitting that we're not done learning. We don't have all the answers. We're constantly growing. I have another example. One of the deepest, a lot of people ask me, why work with teenagers? How many of them actually end up creating a startup of their own to today, right? I have this story where a boy in Singapore, 15 years old, after going through Young Founders Summit, he dropped out. And I asked him, can you share with me why? And he said, well, having gone through this journey, I learned a lot, but I also learned something about myself. Is that I'm much happier with data and analytics and certainty rather than the uncertainty, rather than speaking to people and having to keep pivoting my ideas itself. I realized that actually, you know what? I really love science and data behind it, the data science behind it. And I'm going to pursue that full-time, like more seriously. And to me, I think that's a win. That is, ultimately, there is no which is better, but it's how do we expose our kids to explore all the alternatives that's made available to them in life.
Okay, my answer to that was actually, why do we have to choose, right? It doesn't have to be either or. I think that giving the opportunity to kids and youth to explore as many things as possible, I think it's so much better for them, right? If as a child, I had the opportunity to try building a business, getting mentorship, getting grant funding, learning how to invest, or even personal finance, I think that would have changed me a lot, right? As a child, I wouldn't have taken this long to think of what I want to do or what I like to do. I think that would have given me a lot more opportunity. So answer is, why do we have to choose? Let's do them all and see what happens, yeah.
That's right, that's right. We totally align with that on the same values as well, because here at V, 8V as well as MetaVI, we're all about educating the man on the street on how to actually invest safely in the stock market as well as in the metaverse space. So I think that's something that we truly believe, and it's good to have other like-minded leaders here sharing the same views as well. So let me ask the last questions with regards to youths. Okay, it is about how can actually youths enter the Web3 space safely and really thrive? Because we talk about, now they can actually not choose between entrepreneurship and academic, but now into this new Web3 space, how can they actually enter in this space and thrive?
This is a very good question, because I think everything new has its risks and has its dangers, right? And as parents, I think, of course, there are certain things that you can be afraid of. But I've actually heard this from a Gen Z myself, right? So a youth who said that, I don't really know what to do. I don't know what Discord is, right? But I'm just going to try, right? I don't know how to engage my Discord community, but I'm going to try creating new ways. I think at the end of the day, there is always going to be danger out there, right? In the past, it used to be don't go out after 10 p.m., right? Now it's please don't go on the internet and talk to strangers. So there will always be dangers. So to enter the Web3 space, I say it's go with people that you know are going on the same journey as you. That's first of all. Having that community that really cares, that's important. Number two is open your mind, I think, to the things that are going to happen to you and take that, with I'm learning something new, right? Every day is going to be new. And of course, number three, read up. I think there are a lot of credible sources of information that are very real, and being able to read up on them and understand better gives you a better standing when you're in the Web3 space. I think we also had to do that a lot ourselves when we first entered the Web3 space. And even though we are all grown-ups already, I think it's also hard for us, right, to say, oh, we have to navigate this, we're going to learn something new. So yeah, there is a lot of that.
Thank you. Just to add on to what Carrie just said, and mind you, I've also gone through my own learning journey where I have also been scammed before, buying and chasing after NFTs. So what helped me, I think I'll approach this from 2 points of view. The first one is that if you're a learner yourself, what are platforms and community out there that you can join, apart from obviously MetaVIs? Curious Eddies is an amazing one that makes it very fun and gamified. They use octopuses. They are games that kids can play too. And then the second one is that if you're a female, there's a great community called WOW Pixies, WOW Pixies, that really support female on this journey of learning together. So those are two big communities that has helped me along the way. The third one is, I think, as a parent, sometimes we forget to treat, and of course it depends on how old your kids are, but sometimes we think that they are still kids and they don't understand, and sometimes we get impatient with them, right? When I say we, I mean I myself have been guilty of that too. I think it's bringing them on this journey together, to learn together. When they say things that they don't understand, use that as an educational experience or learn together with them. Go through a Curious Eddie or a NAS Academy course together with them. That has helped me change my girl from saying, aren't NFTs just a JPEG, to now being able to explain what a DAO and what an NFT is.
That's amazing. That's an amazing answer. And I think I like what Carrie mentioned about the importance of communities, and there are many communities out there. MetaVI is just one of the community out there, and how, especially we see in the Web3 space, is more about collaboration as well. Like how MetaVI is actually collaborating with Mad Angels to bring this message out to the people in the public as well as like yourself. That's important. So I think then in itself, just being in the right community is very important, and we provide the opportunities and the space for you to be in the community. Like what we mentioned, if you purchase a NFT from our students and supporting their project, you can also join our MetaVI community, and along the way, as we collaborate with different beneficiaries like Mad Angels and stuff, we can actually provide the connection and the opportunities to also learn from them as well. So that's very important. So with that, we've come to the end of the sharing session. I think a really amazing sharing by Carrie and Yiling, as well as Rachel here from the team. So it's really amazing for all of you all here. So once again, can you give a round of applause for the team here?